As we come to the end of the book of Exodus, I decided to take it outside a little bit to let you see what's been happening behind me. First of all, you can see that we suffered a little bit of damage as a result of last week's storms. No damage to the actual physical structure itself. In fact, the building never lost power. And if you're watching this, I hope that wherever you are, if you lost power, that it has been restored to your home, that you're once again in warmth and in light. If you're not, please let us know so that we can be able to reach out to you, to be able to provide whatever kind of help and assistance we can. In fact, way down there, a tree actually fell on the trailer that the construction workers used, but thankfully everybody is fine. Nobody was harmed. You can see individuals working outside, and what they're actually working on there is building on the new canopy that is almost like a sukkah, right, that will cover us as we make our way into the building. And how appropriate, given that this week as we come to the end of the book of Exodus, that we learn about the building, the actual construction of the Mishkan, as the Israelites, they gave to their heart's delight. In fact, they gave so much to the building of this Mishkan that Moses, in fact, had to say, stop, don't bring anything more. You're bringing more than we possibly need. This is the dream of every not-for-profit. It's the dream of every synagogue, that people are so incredibly generous that the call can go out to say, we're fine. I think that was probably the first and last time that happened, perhaps in Jewish history, if not of all of world history. But the building the Mishkan, the process of it, interestingly, begins with something quite interesting, and that is a commandment to observe Shabbat. And it raises an interesting question. Why on earth would one begin a project with a commandment to not work, to say you should work for 6 days, but on the seventh you should rest? And the commentators give the answer, and what they say is they say that in people's enthusiasm to build this tabernacle for God, they might lose sight of the fact that Shabbat is still what is really the most paramount thing that they need. As Jewish teacher and philosopher Ahad Ha'am once said, just as the Jewish people have kept the Sabbath, so too has the Sabbath kept the Jewish people. The rabbis, in fact, look at these two Torah portions and they develop 39 categories of work that one is not permitted to do on the Sabbath. For example, you might have been in somebody's home, somebody who is much more observant, and you come and it's Shabbat, and you notice that they've already bought pre-ripped toilet paper. That's because one of the prohibitions on Shabbat is actually tearing something. Similarly, there's a law against swimming on Shabbat. Why, you might ask? Swimming is fine. Drying yourself off with a towel is fine. But you might be tempted to wring out the towel. And the wringing out of the towel is, in fact, considered work. All of those 39 categories taken from this week's Torah portion. Now, we might not live our lives like that. I certainly don't live my life like that. But I live with a consciousness of Shabbat all the time. And that's the key message here. This Shabbat is actually known as the Shabbat of unplugging. It is brought to us by a group named Reboot, R-E-B-O-O-T, and you can look them up online. And similar, they created something called the Sabbath Manifesto, where a person pledges to do certain things over Shabbat. One of them, the primary one, is to take this device and, as the sun is setting on Friday, to power it off and to leave it off until sundown on Saturday night. The idea that once in a while we need to truly unplug. They actually developed little, they look like little sleeping bags, little things that carrying cases that you can put your phone in to put them aside. So perhaps you might want to look up what the 39 categories of work are. But for yourself, this Shabbat, I invite you, I challenge you, I implore you to unplug. There have been so many studies done about what over cell phone use can do to us. And I think that being able to just step away from the screens once in a while, it can do all of us a world of good. Friends, coming up on the Shabbat of the following Shabbat, on the 16th and 17th of March, we have my dear friend Rabbi Noam Katz with us. He'll be leading a very musical Shabbat on Friday night. On Saturday morning, he'll be leading a family worship service as part of CJL. So please come, if you have children, come and join them for Shabbat. Delight in that day. And then in the afternoon, there'll be a special concert that he's going to be doing for people with very young kids, ages 0 to 10, back here in our CJL. For now, just take a look at some of the developments as we build out our canopy, building out our Mishkan, building out our new sanctuary, which will truly be a place where we can come on Shabbat and find that sense of oneg, that sense of delight. Wishing you an early Shabbat Shalom.